Hi, this is Maria Mandarino, licensed acupuncturist, certified spiritual director, certified Enneagram practitioner, and certified Bach flower practitioner. Today we're going to continue the series that we've been working on called Patterns of Truth, linking the patterns between Enneagram types and the Bach flower remedies or flower essences, not necessarily the Bach flower system. Most of the ones we're going to talk about, though, are from that system and used in other systems as well. So if you're not familiar with the Bach flower remedies or the flower remedies, these are similar to homeopathic remedies that work on the emotions, basically bringing the emotional body into balance to help the physical body, basically helps us mitigate stress, but really works on patterns of behavior, patterns that we follow mindlessly, similar to what we do with the Enneagram, particularly when we're not informed of an Enneagram type. We tend to repeat patterns mindlessly. So the Bach flower remedies and flower essences in general work at that level to bring our awareness to patterns and harmonize them, bring us back to our higher potential. So while they work differently, the Enneagram and flower remedies, they bring us to a similar place and they work beautifully together. So that's what we're talking about in this series. So today we're going to actually look at Enneagram Type 9. I want to just do a quick announcement before then. My course should have been done this week. I am so painfully close. It's not even funny and it's very frustrating, but I'm not quite there yet. So it will be coming up in October, I believe, hopefully the earlier part, not the latter part. But yeah, it is coming. So I will be sharing more about that. A few more chapters to put together and a couple of finishing touches on top of that, and then we'll be good to go. And then I'll have more information as to pricing and specials and promotions and that kind of thing to celebrate the launch. So look for that. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, comment, and share on the episode. This has really helped tremendously to grow the channel and help this work reach more people. My work is a little unique in that I don't just use the Enneagram. I don't just do spiritual direction. Obviously, I'm also an acupuncturist. So I come to the table with an understanding of Taoist medicine as well, and those patterns, and everything I do is really based on pattern-based systems, wisdom systems. So yeah, that has really, your participation has helped me reach more people, but I just really want to thank you for helping me to reach more people and ask you to continue to comment, like, subscribe, and share for that reason, because there's still so many people that don't know about the work that I do. So, and is unique to my practice. So please continue to participate and support the channel. And if you've already been doing that, thank you so much. Okay. All right. So today, again, I said we're going to look at Enneagram Type 9 and the flower essence, or one of the flower essences that can benefit Enneagram Type 9. So Enneagram Type 9 is called the mediator, the peacemaker. They are one of the body types, along with Type 1 and Type 8. And their goal is to seek out what we call right action or love. And in seeking out right action, they merge, because it's to achieve that goal. The Type 9 believes that merging is the way to get there. Merging, connecting, this bond of love that the 9 brings, this peacefulness that the 9 brings to the table, is unique to them. So right action and love, it's the benchmark for them. Okay, so in their higher expression, bearing that in mind, they're peaceful. As I said, we call them the peacemaker, right? They're very self-aware people in their highest expression. Many of them are healers, or if they're not actually healers, many of them bring a healing presence to different situations. They're serene people in their highest expression. They're very present when you have a conversation with a type 9 that's really doing their work. You know that you are seen, you're heard, and you're held in a way that is really unique to them. So highly present. They're a very calming influence in the room or in a situation. They're very calming people. They are extraordinary listeners. And as I mentioned, we call them the mediators, so they're excellent mediators as well. And they're very empathetic people. They're very sensitive to those around them. So, and that comes from their that natural ability that they have to merge with another person, to just really track and align with the other. So when they can do that, their empathy just flows. Okay. So in their lower expression, however, they're one of the more stubborn types of the Enneagram. They shut down. They become emotionally unavailable. They kind of have this way of almost fading into the wallpaper when they're shut down. It's like they just don't even notice them. They can be passive aggressive. So there's this underlying anger that you don't associate with a peacemaker, right? So it's this quiet anger that you could almost miss. But meanwhile, they've got this rolling boil going on inside that they're usually not even aware of. They can numb out. So we see, often we'll see in the lower expression of type 9, addictive types of behaviors. As I mentioned, they're one of the more stubborn types. So stubbornness is something that you'll see in their lower expression. They are conflict avoiders. They will do anything to avoid conflict. The line we associate with type 9, lower expression of type 9, is peace at all costs. Okay, which can get them into some trouble. So they avoid conflict, they avoid confrontation, and they have this way of falling asleep to themselves, just falling asleep to their own needs. It's that numbing out. They just go away to themselves. So in seeking peace at all costs, they lose themselves. And we see the peacemaker often still acting peacefully on the exterior, but there's often this quiet anger that's being suppressed. It's a quiet resentment, and eventually the type 9 can explode, but typically they're just going to be, it's just going to be this quiet, hidden expression of anger where they'll just kind of keep swallowing the things that upset them and hurt them, and they won't tell you. And that's largely because they're shut down to it themselves. That's that numbing out. So they're one of the other sides of the lower expression is they're too peaceful to be angry. Meanwhile, they're angry, and that's a legitimate emotion. But there's this struggle that they even feel around being angry because they're supposed to be peaceful. They're supposed to make peace. They're supposed to bring people together. They're supposed to merge and see to your needs. And if your needs are met and everybody's needs are met, well, then everybody's going to be happy, right? So we'll have peace. So that's where the type 9 is coming from. So when they're in that lower expression, and they're checking out and they're numbing out and they're being stubborn, and they're frankly feeling hurt, deep down, they're angry and too polite, too peaceful to mention it. So again, until they reach a point where they can explode, and their anger can really be pretty intense. So rare, but intense. So the flower remedy or one of the flower remedies that can serve type 9s in their lower expression, or one of the facets of that lower expression, the one that I chose is Centaury. spelled Centaury, Centaury. In the trainings, in the system that I trained in, the box system, we call it the doormat essence. Okay. And we call it that because it's for the person who finds it hard to say no. And there is another Enneagram type, and we're not going to get into it today, but if you know the Enneagram, there's a heart type that Centaury can apply to also. But we're going to view Centaury today through the lens of the 9, the lower expression of the 9. Again, it's for Centauries for people who find it hard to say no. And type 9s are typically the yes people, because if we say yes, we have peace, right? So you just keep going with the flow, as type 9s are also prone to say. So yeah, Centaury for those moments where it's just hard to say no, where you'd rather go with the flow, even if that makes you kind of uncomfortable. Okay. People who need Centaury have poor boundaries. So the flower itself, when they do the Kirlian photography of the flower, the Centaury has blurred edges. The Kirlian photography, the flower is kind of blurred around the edges. And I think that's really an interesting thing and a way to remember Centaury as benefiting somebody whose boundaries are not clear, whose edges are not clear. And that can be an issue with type 9 and their need to merge, like they lose their boundary. There is no boundary because they're just trying to figure out what's going to make you happy. Because if you're happy, hey, I'm happy as a 9, right? So yeah, poor boundaries. Centaury harmonizes poor boundaries. So if you're a 9 with poor boundaries, listen up. Centaury also benefits people who are easily bullied. So while I didn't use that word with the lower expression of 9, the truth is that the avoidance of conflict can have a dimension of being bullied attached to it. Like this, I'd rather avoid conflict, which might feel like being bullied, or somebody who's just too aggressive with the 9. So they're going to avoid conflict. They're going to avoid the bully. Okay. So Centaury will bring that into harmony for somebody experiencing that. Centaury is also used for people who are timid, quiet, and passive. So timid, quiet, and passive. Doesn't that sound like a peacemaker, right? Wouldn't you expect a peacemaker to be at least passive, timid, and perhaps quiet? So if somebody is veering too far into those behaviors where they're losing themselves, or they're losing their voice, they're losing their autonomy, and they're getting stuck in being timid and being quiet and being passive, Centaury is one that we're going to pull off the shelf. Okay. And it's behavior that we typically will see in a 9. Again, not the only type. Okay. There's not a 1-for-1 experience with the flower remedies and with the Enneagram. There's patterns though. Okay. So Centaury treats people pleasers. People pleasers are again not the only Enneagram type we could call people pleasers. Again, there's that heart type that we'll talk about in another episode. But typically, type 9s are peaceful, the peacemaker, peaceful people pleasers, right? Everybody loves the person who wants everybody to get along and figures out how to do it. Figures out how to poll everybody, see what your needs are, and the greatest metaphor we use with type 9s is the dinner metaphor. When you ask a type 9 where they want to go for dinner, it pretty much confirms they're a 9 if they say, where do you want to go? Because they're so disconnected from their own needs. They're more tapped into what your needs are, because if they know what your needs are and your desires and your wants, it's going to be a peaceful experience, right? So people pleasers. Okay, Centaury is for people pleasers. Centaury is also for people who are self-denying. One of the things we say about 9 in the lower expression is they forget themselves. So there's some overlap there. Centaury is for people who deny, and we've kind of alluded to this already. They deny their own wishes to avoid confrontation. Confrontation is just too uncomfortable. So we just won't even talk about what we want. We'll talk about what you want, right? So that's kind of 9-ish for an unhealthy 9. This I thought was really interesting too. The person who is in need of Centaury seeks to do the right thing. And nines seek right action, right? So I think that's an important distinction between nine and Centaury. And Centauries are easily influenced by what others want. So again, it's that idea of, so hey, type 9, where do you want to go for dinner? Hey, I don't know. Where do you want to go for dinner, right? So they're influenced by what you want. So there's that Centauri energy again. They're influenced by others' desires, the wants of others. So when we have those things going on, okay, whether we're a type 9 or not, but there's a lot of evidence to suggest that nines may need this remedy more than other Enneagram types. So when we take the remedy, the positive potential of what we can expect to see in the person once this behavior is balanced and harmonized, what comes up in the personality? What might we expect? So here's a short list. This is the person who will serve others without denying themselves. Okay. So the 9, the unhealthy 9, will serve others by denying themselves, right? So the highest expression, the highest potential is to serve you and to also not deny yourself or not lose yourself, like the 9 is prone to doing. Another positive potential of Centaury is they can defend their opinions, right? So when you defend your opinions, you're certainly not avoiding confrontation, right? But you're not being confrontational. So that's another important distinction. The remedies flower essences will never put you into a place of the opposite extreme. So you're not going to take Centaury if you are acquiescing to the needs of others and then turn into a tyrant. You're not going to turn into Bam Bam, okay? But you're going to be able to express your opinions. You're going to be able to use your voice to speak your truth, which is really hard for a type 9 that's unhealthy, okay? So Centaury can really be a brilliant friend to the type 9. Positive potential of Centaury is also being in touch with your needs. Just even if you're not at the point of speaking to them, just knowing them. Nines go to sleep before they ever figure it out. So Centaury can wake them up to knowing their needs. Because how can you speak your needs if you don't even know them, right? So Centaury helps us know our needs. Centaury helps us follow our path. Because it aligns us with our truth, aligns us with our voice, our inner knowing of why we are here and what we bring, and that it's okay to speak to those things. It's okay to give them voice. The other positive potential for Centaury is that they're not influenced or bullied by the opinions of others. They can stand in the circle with the discomfort that the lower expression of 9 might experience. It helps you be in that discomfort and stand strong in who you are. And again, it never turns you into too much. It doesn't swing you in the other direction. It doesn't do that. It just brings you to truth. In keeping with the series that we're doing, I'm going to give you a few journal questions. If you are a type 9 and some of the Centaury behavior resonates for you. Journal question number 1. What is my first memory of my role as a peacemaker? So I want you to really think about your first memory as a child, because that's when our Enneagram type begins to form. It doesn't fully form till we're around 21. But it is forming pretty much since the moment we arrive on the planet. So question number 1, what is your first memory of your role as a peacemaker? Journal question number 2, what is my first memory of rage? And this is a 2-parter. The second part of that question is, what situation preceded that moment? So journal question number 2. What is my first memory of rage? What situation preceded that? Okay, so that question is looking at not that slow boiling frustration, moodiness that the 9 feels, but when they finally go to the extreme of having that explosive anger. That's the journal question that I want you to look at. What's your first memory of rage? What situation preceded that moment? And the third and last journal question, how might my peace at all costs behavior be seen as passively violent by those who love me? I'll repeat that again. How might my peace at all costs behavior be seen as passively violent by those who love me? And I will also have those in the show notes. So if you didn't catch them, you can look at them there. And these are for your use to explore, spend some time with. If there's anything you want to comment on, you don't have to, but if there's anything that you want to share that came to awareness as a type 9, or if you've ever worked with Centaury, if any of you have worked with the remedies, you want to speak to any of your awareness around either of those 2 things and the journal questions, feel free to post a comment about it. So that's it for today with type 9 and Centaury flower remedy. If you're interested in working with me, I do offer Bach flower consultations and formulas. I work with people one-on-one for that. So you can schedule that through the website, mariamandarino.com. The schedule is embedded there. There's a tab for the flower remedies. So Bach flower remedies, I think, is what the tab says. So you can learn a little bit more about that work and a little bit about me as well. That's also on the website. And if you're interested in an Enneagram typing interview, personalized, so there are Enneagram tests online where we can kind of get ourselves into some trouble by answering the way we think we should answer sometimes. And sometimes our true type doesn't reveal itself accurately in the tests. Actually, some people have said there's like a 50% inaccuracy in some of the online tests. So what we do with the personal testing, we meet. It's about an hour and a half session, and I ask you questions. And here's the important thing that a test is never going to do for you. We ask qualifying questions. So if you're trying to skirt, and we all try to skirt around questions, not deliberately, it's just what we do when things are uncomfortable, or we have sometimes a preconceived idea of what the proper answer should be. And we give that answer. And if we don't have somebody to catch us in that answer and ask the follow-up question, we can end up mistyped. So that's part of what I do with the personal Enneagram typing interview. So if you're interested in that, check that out on the website as well. You can schedule from there. I also offer, and I really do recommend people do this, I offer a 15-minute free consult to see if we're even going to be a good fit, because we both need to, feel that we could have a comfortable conversation too. And I offer spiritual direction online as well. So if you're interested in that, all of it's on the website, mariamandarino.com. I'll have it all in the show notes for you. Thank you again for being here. Please remember to like, subscribe, comment, share, and thank you again so much. You have a good time. Bye.